Welcome to this deep dive right here on the C9 Podcast Show. I'm your host, Lex.
And I'm Vera. I'm really thrilled to be here as your expert guide today.
Yeah, and we just want to kick things off with a massive welcome to the entire C9 community, all the loyal followers of the podcast and our business page.
Absolutely. We are so glad you are tuning in for this one.
We really are. Now, I want you to picture this scenario. You are standing on the bridge of this massive state-of-the-art ship, right? You're looking out at the horizon.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
You've got the best crew, you've got this valuable cargo, a totally clear destination. But down in the engine room, your team isn't actually optimizing or maintaining the engines at all.
Right, they're distracted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, they are frantically bailing water with teaspoons because of a leak that just will not stop. They're exhausted, progress is stalling, and the sheer volume of water is just overwhelming everything else.
It's a really vivid image. And unfortunately, it perfectly captures what is happening inside the customer support operations of almost every major business today.
Yeah, it really does. And that is exactly why we are doing this specific deep dive. We are speaking directly to you, the Australian business owners and C-level executives who are listening right now.
Because you are feeling the absolute squeeze of modern operational demands.
Oh, 100%. You're trying to scale, but your overhead is just dragging you down. So today, we are exploring the most critical shift in Australian enterprise operations. We're talking about Agentic AI.
Right. And specifically, how it is fundamentally transforming customer support from this massive, endlessly expanding cost center into a lean, autonomous engine.
Yeah. And to put this shift into perspective, we have to look at the recent Gartner projections. By 2029, they predict that Agentic AI will autonomously resolve 80% of common customer service issues.
Wow, 80%.
Right. That means zero human intervention for 8 out of every 10 interactions. I mean, this isn't some science fiction concept being pitched for the next decade. This underlying technology is operating right now.
It is. But, and this is a massive but that we will unpack a bit later, making this actually work in a highly secure, real-world enterprise environment requires, bespoke infrastructure.
Yeah, you can't just plug something off the internet into your company databases.
Exactly. It requires custom architecture, which we'll definitely explore toward the end of our conversation. But first, we need to establish exactly why the current human-driven system is breaking down so badly for Australian executives.
Yeah, let's start there. And I think it all comes down to one single crushing metric, which is volume.
Volume, yep.
Customer service is the front line of your business, but right now that front line is just completely drowning.
It really is. I mean, if you analyze enterprise contact data, you quickly see that between 60% and 80% of support volume consists of highly predictable, really low complexity queries.
Like what specifically?
We are talking about resetting a password, checking trading hours, or asking for the status of an order.
Right, so these are not complex, nuanced problems that require human empathy or sophisticated judgment. They're just, they're repetitive administrative tasks.
Precisely.
And there is a recent benchmark report from Freshworks for 2025 that really hammers this reality home. It reveals that 53% of customer service leaders say managing ticket volume without growing their headcount is their single biggest operational challenge.
Because the traditional math simply no longer works for business owners. When your highly capable human agents are spending 8 hours a day acting like human routers,
right,
doing copy-paste data entry, two major things happen.
Yeah, and neither of them are good.
Right. First, the service quality for the genuinely complex issues drops because agents are rushing to clear the massive queue, and second, the agents themselves just burn out.
Yeah, they entered a people-focused profession to help solve problems, right? Not to just be a glorified reset button.
Exactly. And worst of all, for the executives listening, your operational costs are scaling linearly. Under a manual model, if your business grows and you have to handle 20% more volume, your only real option is to hire 20% more staff.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I can already hear the Australian business leaders listening to this rolling their eyes and just sighing in frustration.
Oh, for sure. They've heard it all before.
Right. Haven't we been here before? Haven't Australian businesses already tried rolling out AI chatbots over the last 5 years? only for customers to absolutely hate them, scream agent into their phones, and demand a human.
Yes, they have.
Because early AI in customer service was basically just a glorified, incredibly frustrating phone tree. It didn't solve anything.
That is such a crucial distinction to make, and it's exactly why we have to separate the old tech from what is happening right now. What you're describing is a rule-based chatbot.
Okay, rule-based.
Right. Those older systems operate on very simple decision trees. They just match a specific keyword to a fixed scripted answer. So the second a customer asks a multi-part question or uses a phrase the bot wasn't explicitly programmed to recognize, the logic breaks instantly.
It just apologizes and loops back to the main menu. I didn't quite catch that.
Exactly. So the customer is doing all the work trying to guess the magic word to make the bot understand.
Which is infuriating.
It is. Agentic AI, however, operates on a fundamentally different structural level. It uses large language models to understand the actual context and intent of natural language. But more importantly, and this is the defining feature, it physically accesses your live business systems via secure APIs to execute multi-step workflows.
Oh, wow. So it's not just retrieving a static FAQ page that says, here is how you change a flight. It is actually doing the task for you.
Precisely. Let's look at the mechanism. If a customer asks to change a flight, the Agentic AI understands the intent. It then securely pings your CRM to authenticate their profile. Next, it queries your live inventory database to find available flights that match the customer's new dates. It automatically calculates the fare difference based on your pricing rules, processes the payment through your gateway, and issues the new ticket.
It executes the entire resolution workflow from start to finish.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
And this structural difference is exactly what defines the return on investment. Rule-based bots often have a negative ROI because they just frustrate people.
Right.
Right. And they lead to longer handling times when the human finally has to take over and apologize.
Oh, absolutely.
But current data shows the average return for Agentic AI is $3.50 for every $1 invested, with top enterprise implementations hitting an 8x ROI.
An 8x return. I mean, that is a metric that makes any C-suite executive sit up very straight. So if the AI is executing these workflows perfectly, it begs the question, what does this actually look like across different industries?
It varies, but the impact is massive everywhere.
Because tracking a package is very different from, say, managing a telecom outage. So let's look at how this scales in complexity, starting with physical logistics in e-commerce.
Yeah, e-commerce is the perfect baseline because the volume is staggering, but the operational logic is highly predictable. In a typical online retail setup, 70 to 80% of contacts are just about orders and returns.
It's just, where's my stuff, basically.
Exactly. And Agentic AI handles this by integrating directly with logistics APIs, like Australia Post or Star Trek.
Yeah.
It doesn't just say your order is shipped. It checks the carrier database, sees a delay at a specific sorting facility, and proactively explains that to the customer.
Oh, that's smart. Proactive is huge.
And when it comes to returns, it instantly maps the logic of your specific return policy, checking the purchase date, matching STOPU conditions, and automatically generates the shipping label if the criteria are met.
That's seamless.
In fact, recent Salesforce data showed that these AI-powered agents autonomously drove roughly 20% of retail sales during the 2025 holiday season through proactive, abandoned cart recovery, and personalized outreach.
That handles physical logistics beautifully. But what happens when the problem isn't a physical package, but an invisible service outage? Because telecommunications and IT support have the highest volume of any sector, and the troubleshooting there is infinitely more complex.
It is more complex, but it still follows strict operational logic.
Yeah.
The implementation data in telecom is just fascinating. Vodafone recently achieved a massive 70% reduction in their cost per chat by deploying AI.
70%?
Yeah. And look at Telecom. They're processing over 20,000 queries monthly with absolutely zero human involvement for their Tier 1 contacts.
But how does it actually do that without a human stepping in? Like, how does it fix an internet issue?
Through deep system integration. If a customer reports their internet is down, the AI doesn't just ask them if it's plugged in. It actively pings the local exchange, checks the customer's specific router for a signal drop, and runs a diagnostic protocol in the background.
That's incredible.
It explains billing line items in plain English and processes plan upgrades seamlessly. In the broader IT space, ServiceNow deployed AI agents that generated $325 million in annualized productivity value, reducing the time it takes to handle complex cases by 52%.
Wow.
And Microsoft is hitting a 90% first call resolution rate using similar integrated diagnostics.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting and where I have to push back a bit. Tracking a pair of shoes or remotely pinging a router, those are relatively low-risk operations.
True.
But what about the financial sector? In Australian banking or insurance, an AI hallucination or a simple mistake isn't just a bad customer experience. It is a massive regulatory nightmare that leads to millions in fines.
Oh, absolutely.
So can Australian executives actually trust an autonomous system when the stakes are that high?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, and it's the exact hurdle the financial sector has had to overcome. And the solution lies in how the AI is specifically architected.
Okay, how so?
Unlike a standard consumer AI that uses probabilistic guessing, essentially predicting the next most likely word to generate an answer, Agentic AI in finance uses deterministic pathways.
Meaning it doesn't have the freedom to just guess.
Exactly. It operates on rails. It handles balance inquiries, fraud alert triage, and complex compliance disclosures, but it physically cannot bypass identity verification steps before revealing an account balance.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. This creates an immutable, time-stamped audit trail for regulators. It is strictly architected to adhere to ASIC's regulatory guidance, APRA's operational risk frameworks, and the Australian Privacy Act 1988.
So it's completely fenced in by the actual laws of the land and the hard-coded rules of the bank?
Yes, exactly. It operates within incredibly strict data sovereignty controls. And when you remove that risk of hallucination, the financial results are undeniable.
Do you have an example of that?
Take NIB Health Insurance as a prime example. They saved $22 million simply by using AI to reduce their human support requirements by 60%.
22 million. That is a game changer.
Right. The AI securely handles structured claim intake, verifies document checklists against policy rules, and if a claim requires nuanced medical judgment, it instantly escalates it to a human specialist with the full verified context already attached.
All right, so we've solved tech support, web chat, and back-end processing. But executives listening know that the call center, the actual voice channel is their absolute most expensive operational cost.
Oh, by far.
How does agentic AI infiltrate voice? Because historically, automated voice systems, those rigid interactive voice response menus, are universally despised by callers.
That they really are. But the overarching goal of AI in the call center isn't to eliminate human conversation altogether. It's to deflect the routine volume so your humans can actually handle the complex value.
So getting rid of the press 1 for this, press 2 for that nightmare.
Exactly. Traditional IVR is finally being replaced by natural language voice understanding. The AI answers conversationally, understands what you actually want regardless of how you phrase it, and responds in real time with zero latency.
And the authentication process, I want to touch on this because it's a huge bottleneck for every business owner listening. We're talking about intelligent authentication using voice biometrics.
Yes, this is huge.
Because it replaces those excruciating manual security questions that waste the first 3 minutes of every single call. What's your mother's maiden name? What was the name of your first pet?
That's right. And the mechanism behind voice biometrics is brilliant. Instead of relying on a password you can forget or a pet's name, the system maps hundreds of unique physical characteristics of your vocal tract in milliseconds.
Things like pitch and cadence.
Exactly. Pitch, cadence, resonance. It compares those data points to a securely stored voice print. It essentially knows it's you before you even finish saying hello.
Wow.
You reclaim those 3 minutes across millions of calls, which translates to massive operational savings. Industry projections show that conversational AI will reduce contact center labor costs by $80 billion globally by 2026.
80 billion. Okay, so what does this all mean for the actual workforce? Are Australian executives just going to fire all their call center staff? Is the human agent completely obsolete?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is actually the exact opposite. We call this the volume versus value paradigm.
Volume versus value. Okay, explain that.
AI handles the massive volume of routine tasks, which liberates your human team to handle the high-value relationship-building interactions. For instance, the AI voice system constantly monitors the caller's tone, pacing, and sentiment in real time.
So it's listening to how they're feeling, not just what they're saying.
Exactly. The very second it detects frustration, distress, or a highly sensitive issue like a bereavement, it instantly routes that customer to a human agent. But here's the magic. It provides the human with the full context of the conversation.
Before they even pick up?
Yes. The entire account history and a recommended resolution path pop up on their screen before they even take the call. The agent never has to ask, "How can I help you today?"
They just jump right into solving the problem with complete context. That is incredible. But wait, let's think about the psychological impact here.
Okay.
If Agentic AI handles all the easy stuff, the password resets, the basic tracking, that means your human agents are now only dealing with highly complex, emotionally charged escalations,
That's right.
back to back, all day long. Every call is a crisis. How do Australian executives prepare their staff for that kind of intense environment? Reading a training manual isn't going to cut it.
It raises a critical question about workforce readiness. Absolutely. If every call a human takes is a high-stakes escalation, they need elite-level preparation. This is where generative AI simulation training comes into play.
Interesting.
Instead of static e-learning modules or, awkward role-playing with a board manager, the AI plays the role of a hyper-realistic, dynamic customer.
Oh, I love this concept. It's basically a high-stakes flight simulator, but for customer service. It gives your agents a consequence-free environment to completely crash and burn before you ever let them fly a real plane with a real customer.
That is the perfect analogy, and you have to let that idea sink in. Because it's generative AI, the persona isn't following a script. It reacts to the agent's actual words in real time.
So if the agent says the wrong thing, it adapts.
Exactly. Imagine an agent dealing with a simulated telecom user who is furious about a $200 overcharge and has already called 3 times. If the agent shows empathy, uses the right tone, and de-escalates, the AI persona physically calms down.
But if they don't?
If the agent makes a mistake, sounds dismissive, or reads rigidly from a corporate script, the AI introduces friction and gets more irate.
It forces them to actually listen and adapt on the fly.
It does, and it cuts onboarding time by up to 30%. There was a fascinating, massive study from Stanford and MIT that looked at this. They found that this kind of generative AI assistance increases agent productivity by 14 to 15%. And the absolute biggest gains were seen in newer, less experienced workers.
Well, yeah, because they are getting years of experiential, high-pressure learning compressed into a few days of simulation.
Precisely. And the scenarios aren't generic. The AI ingests your business's actual ticket history, your real operational policies, and your specific escalation logs.
So they're training on their own actual customer.
Exactly. Agents aren't memorizing generic customer service platitudes. They are building genuine critical thinking skills based on the exact scenarios they will face on your floor.
Okay, so it is abundantly clear that agentic AI and this kind of immersive simulation training are absolute mandatory for future survival in the Australian market.
You really are.
But here is the reality check, and I want to push back on the ease of all this. Business owners can't just buy a $30 a month AI subscription off the internet, plug it into their network, and expect it to magically talk to their highly secure legacy company databases, right? There has to be a structural bridge.
You've hit on the absolute most critical failure point of AI adoption today. Off-the-shelf AI products create massive vendor lock-in, and they fundamentally lack the deep integration required to actually execute tasks. As we established earlier, an agentic AI is only as powerful as the systems it can securely access and manipulate.
Buying an off-the-shelf AI and expecting it to seamlessly run your enterprise is like buying a Formula One engine and trying to duct tape it into a golf cart.
That's a great way to put it.
You can have all the horsepower in the world, but without the actual bespoke infrastructure, the custom chassis, and the transmission to connect the power to the wheels, it's just going to tear itself apart.
It really is.
And this is exactly why C9 is the missing link for Australian businesses. For the execs listening, C9 is Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
That's precisely what they provide. They don't just sell you a generic algorithm. They build the bespoke web application architecture.
Right.
They build the highly secure API integration layers that physically connect the AI engine to your existing CRMs, your complex billing platforms, and your legacy scheduling tools.
And crucially, they solved the hallucination problem we talked about earlier. I know C9 builds custom knowledge base and ARGA architecture.
Yes.
Now, RE stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Let's explain how that works conversationally. Basically, it means the AI is strictly fenced in. When a customer asks a question, the AI must first retrieve the answer from your verified internal company documents before it generates a response.
Exactly.
It cannot pull from the wild west of the open internet. It completely eliminates the risk of the AI inventing a fake refund policy and promising it to a customer.
Which, as we discussed with the financial sector earlier, is absolutely critical for maintaining brand trust and strict regulatory compliance.
But here is my question. Owning bespoke infrastructure sounds great on paper, but doesn't that just mean the business is now burdened with maintaining it? How do executives ensure this doesn't become outdated legacy tech in 2 years?
That's the beauty of how C9 architects these solutions. Because it is bespoke, it is modular and scalable. And crucially for the executives listening, C9's architecture is built right here in Australia.
Oh, that's important.
Very. It is entirely compliant with local data sovereignty laws like the Privacy Act. Most importantly, the infrastructure is owned outright by your business.
Owned outright.
Yes. Unlike SaaS models, there are no escalating per-user license fees that penalize you financially just for growing your headcount or your customer base. You own the platform, and it scales with you.
You own the infrastructure. You aren't just renting a tool. You are building an asset.
Exactly. And what's vital to understand here is the timeline. This is not a 2 or 3 years from now technology. The Gartner data from the beginning of our deep dives makes it painfully clear.
The 80% stat.
Right. The competitive pressure is here today. The businesses that deploy this bespoke integrated architecture right now are going to establish cost efficiencies and quality advantages that their competitors will literally take years to close. C9 delivers the structural foundation that off-the-shelf cookie-cutter products simply cannot replicate.
And that brings us directly to you, the Australian business owners and C-level executives listening right now. The future of customer support is autonomous, and that future starts today.
It really does.
You cannot afford to keep your best people down in the engine room bailing water with a teaspoon while your competitors are installing high-powered automated pumps. It is time to take action.
Absolutely.
We strongly encourage you to book a 45-minute, no-obligation discovery session with C9 Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
Yeah, and in just 45 minutes, their experts will map out your current support operations, identify your highest value automation opportunities, and outline exactly what a bespoke Agentic AI solution looks like, integrated directly into your unique business environment.
Go to www.c9.com.au to map your automation opportunities before your competitors do. That's www.c9.com.au. And while you are mapping out the future of your business, make sure you click the follow button right here on the C9 podcast show.
Please do.
Share this deep dive with your colleagues, your board members, and any peers who can truly benefit from this knowledge.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Let's hear it.
We've spent our time talking about how Agentic AI handles all your massive routine volume, which transforms your human team into elite problem solvers who only handle the highest value interactions.
Right.
But think about the broader operational implications. With that unprecedented capability, with a customer service engine that scales infinitely without a linear increase in cost,
Yeah.
how will that change the very nature of the products, the guarantees, and the services your business is actually able to offer tomorrow?
Now, that is a question worth exploring. You are no longer stuck in the engine room bailing water. You are finally free to steer the ship. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.